Welcome back to the Dad and Cole Football Patrol.
That's right. What's up, guys? I'm Dad.
And I am Cole.
So, Cole, what do we got cooking today on our episode?
Old school versus new school and fact or fiction.
That's right. So we got two new games that Cole and I are going to be playing for you guys out there. We're going to be doing old school versus new school players, and then we're going to do fact or fiction. So, Cole, let's start off our old school versus new school game here. So we'll go with wide receivers. Back in the day, Jerry Rice versus today, Antonio Brown. Who do you got, old school or new school?
Jerry Rice for old school.
Yeah, I'm going to go Jerry Rice too. I think Antonio Brown might have moments of more explosiveness and might even be a little bit of a more dynamic player. But as far as being a complete receiver, Jerry Rice might arguably be the greatest football player, regardless of position, to ever play the game. So I'm with you. I'm going to go Jerry Rice too. All right, Cole, now let's move over to the defensive side of the field. Let's look at two outside linebackers. Old school, LT, Lawrence Taylor from the Giants versus new school, Von I'm Delicate Miller.
I would pick Lawrence Taylor because he's the same thing as Jerry Rice.
Oh, meaning like you think he's maybe one of the greatest football players regardless. Yeah, I'm with you. I think when it comes to defense, I think LT is the greatest football player to ever play on defense. Reggie White for me is a close second, but I think LT was just slightly more impactful on the game overall and on the position. Von Miller is incredible, clearly the most dominant pass rusher I feel in the game right now, but not as complete a linebacker as LT. LT could drop back in coverage, get interceptions. He did it all. So I'm going to go old school in this one with you as well for LT, Lawrence Taylor. All right, Cole, let's stick on the defensive side of the field. Let's move it into the middle. Inside linebackers, we're going to go old school. Samurai Mike Singletary from the Chicago Bears versus today. And the new school, your guy and my guy, Luke Kuechly. Who you got, old school or new school?
I don't know that much about Mike Singletary, so I would have to pick Luke Kuechly.
Yeah, I get it. You probably aren't too familiar with Samurai Mike. You didn't get to see much of him.
Like Lawrence Taylor and Jerry Rice.
You've seen a ton of highlights and videos of those guys, no doubt about it. This is a tough one for me. Kuechly might be a little bit more of a complete linebacker as far as covering the pass and interceptions. So he might be a little bit more well-rounded of a linebacker. But man, Samurai Mike just completely shut down, dominated, and patrolled the middle. This is tough for me. I'm going to edge towards Kuechly, actually, being a little bit more athletic and a little more of a complete linebacker. But it's a tough call.
Okay, that's good. I picked the right person at least.
So yeah, I'll stick with new school on this one with you. That might offend some people out there, but I'm going to go Kuechly. All right, Cole, so let's go with the preeminent position in football. We're talking, of course, about quarterback. Old school, Joe Cool, Joe Montana versus new school, and Tom Brady. Who do you got? You're going with the GOAT? You're going with Tom Brady? Now, why? Why do you think?
Well, he's kind of the best quarterback of all time.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point, I still...
Peyton Manning might be...
It's funny you say that. I still think for me, Manning was the best, just pure precision quarterback, just as far as actually the position and the mechanics of it. But I'm not going to debate any longer that Brady is the absolute greatest quarterback of all time. The record, the Super Bowls, it's undisputed. So I'm going to go...
5 Super Bowls?
Yeah, or it's 6, I think, isn't it?
No,
Doesn't he have...
That's the Steelers. He almost won 6 from the Eagles.
Okay, all right. So, but yeah, I'm going to go new school with you and Brady over Joe Montana.
He's kind of old school, too.
Who's that, Brady?
Yeah.
Well, for the league right now, he is kind of old school compared to some of the younger guys. But he's modern era for sure. All right, so Cole, we're going to go to the running back position, and this is cool because it's actually two Rams we're going to compare here. So we're going to go Marshall Faulk versus new school Todd Gurley. Who do you got, old school or new school?
I don't know that much about Marshall Faulk, so I would have to pick Todd Gurley, even though Todd Gurley's a super good player. I only know that.
Yeah, I love Todd Gurley, and I think he potentially could get to the status where Marshall Faulk was for his whole career. But I think we need to see that over like 2 or 3 more seasons. I'm going to go old school. Marshall Faulk, I don't know that there's many running backs that were as complete in the passing game as they were in the running game like Marshall Faulk was. He was dominant and explosive. I think Gurley could get there, and Gurley last season, with the way he added the receiving piece to his game and the way he was using the passing game.
He could get over 1,000 yards this season.
In each, in rushing and receiving, I agree. So I think if he's able to do that a few more times, he could be at Marshall Faulk status. But for now, based on the track record alone, I'm going old school with Marshall Faulk. All right, so our final battle in the old school versus new school. Let's take it back to the defense and look at the defensive end position. We're going to go old school, Sackmaster Bruce Smith versus new school, J.J. Watt, another sackmaster in his own right, but also a guy who's caught receiving touchdowns, has just been all over the field on both sides of the ball. Cole, who you going? Old school with Bruce Smith or new school with J.J. Watt?
Bruce Smith.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think for the track record...
I have like 30 of his cards, so I know like all of his stats.
Yeah, you're very familiar with Bruce Smith from your football collection, that's for sure. And I think just as far as, being on the field, being available, being out there, racking up just an insane amount of sacks, right now I got to go with Bruce Smith as well. Unfortunately, I
thought you were to say J.J. Watt because we were talking before this about this, and you said J.J. Watt. You thought he was like a more dynamic player, but like he doesn't stay on the field that much. He gets hurt a lot.
You're making my point. That's exactly right. So I do feel that Watt is more of a dynamic and explosive player.
But you're saying Bruce Smith had more time to like practice.
He was on the field more. His career was more sustained. He did it over a longer period of time. And I got to give the edge in old school to Bruce Smith on this one. It's unfortunate J.J. Watt's career has been limited by these injuries. I root for the guy this season. I hope he can get back. I think the league is better off with a guy like Watt on the field.
Has he ever played a full season?
He has, but he's had a few that have been cut real short. But let's both, you and I, root for Watt to get back out there and be that dynamic player that we know he is.
He's also the Walter Payton Man of the Year award.
That's right. He's a super guy, as super off the field as he is on the field. No doubt about it. All right, Cole, now it's time for fact or fiction. So guys out there, what we're going to do is I'm going to make a statement, sort of like a prediction for the upcoming NFL season. And Cole, you and I are then going to have to state whether it's fact, that we believe in that statement to come true, or fiction, that we're not buying into it at all and we don't think it's going to be the case for this upcoming NFL season. So you got the rules down? You ready to rock and roll here? All right, Cole. So statement number one, head coach Jon Gruden will lead the Oakland Raiders back into the playoffs in 2018. Cole, is that fact or fiction?
That's a fiction.
So you don't buy that Jon Gruden's going to have the Raiders back in the playoffs?
They might get like close, but not get in there at least.
Okay, so you think that there's going to be an improvement with the team, that it might be kind of a rebound from last year's disappointing, but not into the playoffs?
Yeah.
I think this is actually fact. I think Gruden is at his best when he has a team that has some like veteran.
I mean, he hasn't coached for a long time.
It's been a while. I think he's been out of the league close to 10 years. But I think he's at his best when he has a veteran team that he can come in and just mold an impact right away. We saw him do that in Oakland with Gannon and the likes. We saw him do that down in Tampa Bay when he took over Tony Dungy's team. So I think with a veteran guy like Derek Carr already at the helm at wide receiver.
And you got Jordy Nelson, Doug Martin.
Yeah, and Amari Cooper's already there. So
I might take that back, actually.
Am I convincing you to turn this into the fact?
Yeah.
Stick with your guns. I like your stance that they're going to be good but not close enough. So yeah, I'm going to go fact. I think Gruden will have the team back in the playoffs as a wild card, though. I like the Los Angeles Chargers to win that division. Okay, Cole, here comes our next statement. Quan Barkley will have a total of 12 or more touchdowns this upcoming season. That's going to be both through either rushing or receiving. Cole, fact or fiction, Quan Barkley will have 12 or more total touchdowns.
Fact.
Ooh, so you think he's going to come in and make a strong impact right away on that
offense? Because he's the
offense?
best player in the draft.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would agree with you. I'm going to go fiction, and this is not to say that he's not going to be dynamic and explosive this year. I think 12 is a big number for running backs. I think he could get in that sort of that 9 to 11 range, and I know I'm really pushing it with really being close to 12, but I just think game flow, opportunity, you got Beckham, Ingram, there's a lot of guys that go around there to get touchdowns in that offense. I think he's going to be dynamic. I think he's going to make his mark felt on the Giants. I think he's going to fall just short of 12 total touchdowns. I'm going to go fiction. All right, Cole, fact or fiction? Rob Gronkowski will be the starting tight end for the New England Patriots on week 1. Is that fact or is that fiction?
Fact.
I agree. I think that's fact, too. I don't think he's going to get traded, do you? I think that's a lot.
Then they don't have any wide receivers except, they have James White as running back and Julian Edelman. So they would just have, 2-star players and Tom Brady.
Yeah, and they got some, veteran guys like Jordan Matthews is on the team this year. So there's some guys who are trying to prove themselves again.
But they lost tons of players on their team.
But I agree. Cooks, Amendola are gone. Edelman will be gone for 4 weeks. So to your point, with the core New England...
Gronkowski is just going to be, the only man that you're throwing to. And James White...
Yeah, and I think the only other thing that could get in the way of this being a fact is if he could possibly hold out for a new contract. But I don't see that being the case. I think we're both on the same page here. Fact, Rob Gronkowski, Gronk will be starting week 1 for the Patriots. All right, Cole, another one, fact or fiction. Tyrod Taylor will start all 16 games for the Cleveland Browns. Is that fact or fiction?
Fiction.
And why so? Why do you think?
I think, he might, miss 1 or 2 games to let Baker Mayfield, start at least 1 game.
Okay, so you think there's a chance that the Browns are going to really want to see what their first-round pick is all about in Mayfield so that he's going to get an opportunity to start?
Yeah.
I think it's fiction, but for a different reason. I don't think anymore in the NFL it's likely that a quarterback starts all 16 games, especially a guy like Taylor who runs around a good bit, and he's typically missed a game or 2 in the past for Buffalo. I believe he's at least missed a game or 2 in the past few seasons. So I think he's not going to start all 16 games only because he might get dinged up a little bit.
I think he might he's gonna start all the games, but miss a couple games at the end of the season. That's what they did with Nick Foles.
Yeah, well, see, I think though he's going to be able to come back if healthy enough and regain the starting role. I do not see him losing any starts because the Browns are playing poorly and they're growing impatient with Taylor and that they want to get Mayfield in there. I don't think Mayfield's ready. I think Taylor's more than competent. I think he's a high-level performer, and I think he's going to have the Browns playing well. But I think this is a fiction statement only because there's a good chance he's going to miss a game just because of a dinged-up injury. So I say fiction only because of a potential injury and not because of poor performance. All right, Cole, here's our last statement, and this one's going to hit home for both you and I, being big-time Eagles fans. Nick Foles will finish the 2018 season on the Philadelphia Eagles roster. Ooh.
I don't know what I would say.
What do you think, man? Is that fact or is that fiction?
Faction.
Faction? You're doing it. So you're making up a word?
Yeah.
So that means he's going to be what?
That means I can't pick a word.
Yeah, so all right, I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and I'm gonna say that statement is fiction. Nick Foles will not be on the roster. I think he will get traded because I think the situation they had with Sam Bradford a few years ago, a team's
but there's really not a team that you have to trade to because they didn't draft because everybody really that had a stinky quarterback drafted a quarterback on their team that's really good.
No, you're right. So a lot of the teams that had needs
you really don't know who you would trade him to. Like, you might trade him to the Buccaneers.
Well, but that's the thing, though. That team is yet to be revealed, just like 2 years ago when no one thought the Minnesota Vikings needed a quarterback. But then when Bridgewater got hurt right before the season start, the Vikings got desperate and got pressed into making a trade. Look, I think Foles, with what he did last year, is too much of an asset for a team around the league to not make a play for. I think there's just going to be a demand for a proven playoff winning quarterback. There's going to be a team that has a roster already built to win this year that's going to end up needing a quarterback. And I think they're going to trade for Foles. I think it's going to be happen. So I think that statement that I laid out at the beginning of this, Foles finishing on the Eagles roster at the end of the 2018
Remember, I made up
season,
a word called faction.
I think it's going to be fiction. All right, guys, so we want to hear from you out there. What did Cole or I get wrong? What do you agree with, disagree with? Quan Barkley, 12 total touchdowns, fact or fiction?
Fact.
Jon Gruden, Raiders back in the playoffs, fact or fiction? Leave a comment. We want to hear from you out
faction.
there. And then, Cole, what else would we love for people to do?
Subscribe!
Yeah, that's right, guys. Please do hit the subscribe button.
We're also on Twitter.
Yeah, and follow us on Twitter. That's a good point, Cole. I'll make sure to link our Twitter handle in the video description here. But please do hit subscribe. We'd love to count on you as active members of our NFL football family. That's right. All right, dude, what else?
Nothing.
That's it. See you guys.
Yeah.